What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on first take, they're going to be talking about who's going to be the greatest wide receiver quarterback duo next year. Possibly O'Dell Beckham Jr. and Baker Mayfield, or somebody else. So let's see what they have to say about that.
Where does the O'Dell-Baker duo rank among the best in the NFL?
I can't prove it, but I'm going to tell you number one. And I'll let you nerds try to tell me it's somehow. What about Drew Brees and Michael Thomas? Boring.
Nerds.
Look, here's the real competition for me. Mahomes to Tyreek Hill, because athletically it's just different. And Tyreek Hill takes a lot of, he's kind of perceived as this special teams guy who happens to be a receiver. No, he's a real receiver. And he's maybe more explosive even than O'Dell. But he's not as much of a receiver as O'Dell. When you look at tandems, both sides have to be equal, like super, super elite strong, right? When you look at Wentz, he's not throwing the ball to anyone on that level. Yeah. When you look at, they just take the elite at both positions. Let's start with receivers. They're a limited number, right? Like AB, Carr ain't hacking it there out. Julio Jones, you can say Matt Ryan. I won't. I think Matt Ryan's a B+. And I think he's a B+ year in and year out. He accumulates a lot of numbers. He's very good. I'm not arguing he's not. Matt Ryan is not an elite quarterback. If you have Matt Ryan, you have a good quarterback. He's a franchise quarterback. He is something less than an elite quarterback.
So I can agree with Max there about Matt Ryan not being an elite quarterback, because I've never really been too high on him. But as far as talking about O'Dell Beckham Jr. and Baker Mayfield, they've never played with each other. So I don't know where all this confidence comes from about them being the #1 duo. I mean, on paper, they should be because they're both ballers. But you have no idea, you have no clue how it's going to work out with them next year because they've never played with each other. So to throw them up that high at the top of the list, I don't know. It's a little bit too early for me. I'd like to see them play a little bit, at least 1 or 2 games before I figure out their team chemistry, their timing, and they get all that stuff down to be calling them the best duo. Now, one thing I would let know, 1 duo or 2 duos I like throughout there would be maybe Derek Carr and Antonio Brown, like what Max just said. I think Antonio Brown is going to make any quarterback look better, and Derek Carr has shown glimpses of being a great quarterback. So hopefully they can get on the same page and be a good duo and get things together. I know they haven't played with each other yet, but I think there's a lot of potential there. And I say probably maybe Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper for the Dallas Cowboys. I think there's a lot of potential there for them to be a good duo. But as far as Baker Mayfield and O'Dell Beckham Jr., those guys never played with each other, so I don't even know how you can remotely, put them in the category of being a great duo. So I don't know. Let's continue.
Agree to disagree on that. How many more is Andy Dalton throwing to A.J. Green?
I mean, you got T.Y. Hilton to Luck. You got Allen and Rivers. You got Thomas and Breeze.
Rodgers
Julio and
to
Ryan.
Devontae Adams.
Watson. And Hopkins is another one.
I love that one, although Hopkins is not as explosive as O'Dell, and Watson's not as accurate as Mayfield. No, Hopkins has amazing hands, but he's not the athlete O'Dell is. Look, here's the thing about Baker Mayfield and O'Dell Beckham Jr. Baker Mayfield has it. Like, if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes, it would be like, oh, he might mess around and win the MVP. We just had this conversation. And O'Dell, I think, is athletically, qualitatively different than everyone else at the position.
Well, Julio.
No, I think he's athletically qualitative. Odell can do things like throw a ball 50 yards, dunk the basketball,
that's really helpful.
Field goals.
That's really helpful for a receiver. We're talking about a duo.
I think Odell can make catches.
2-on-2 league?
I think Odell can make catches that no one else can make, including Julio Jones.
I don't know if I would necessarily say that, Max, because you might be saying that O'Dell Beckham Jr. might be a better athlete because he can hit a ball, throw a ball, kick a ball, or whatever. But as far as making catches, he's right up there with everybody else. He's not above and beyond everybody else, especially Julio Jones or Antonio Brown. As far as catching the ball, he might be a catch it like in a dramatic way. But as far as catching balls consistently, I would not put him above Antonio Brown or Julio Jones. And Julio Jones is a bigger wide receiver. What, he's like 6'2", 215 or something like that. Julio Jones is huge. He's a big guy. So I would not put O'Dell Beckham Jr. above Julio Jones or Antonio Brown. Especially, we know Julio Jones can at least get his team to the Super Bowl, and Antonio Brown can put him work in the playoffs. O'Dell Beckham Jr. has only had, 1 playoff game, and he was dropping balls left and right. So you want to talk about, as far as putting in work when it counts, O'Dell Beckham Jr. is going to be at the bottom of the list of those top 3 guys, Antonio Brown or Julio Jones. So let's continue.
But look, and he's an overall receiver. He does everything you need a receiver to do. Here's the thing. Baker and O'Dell, I said I can't prove it. I can just tell you my gut, are going to be the best tandem because there are only a couple of guys, I think, who are going to be better than Baker Mayfield this year. I don't think anyone's going to be better than O'Dell Beckham this year. You have to show me 2 guys equally strong on both sides in their primes.
Right, but football is...
Man, like I said, how could you put O'Dell Beckham Jr. above a Julio Jones or Antonio Brown? I mean, where are you getting that from? What's your basis for saying that? There's none. Julio Jones and Antonio Brown consistently put in work, and I think Antonio Brown had more touchdown catches than both of those guys. So I don't understand how all of a sudden O'Dell Beckham Jr. is just above and beyond everybody else, especially when he gets hurt a lot. So I don't know. Let's continue.
It's a complex game. While it's pretty simple, you throw the ball to a guy and you catch it, there's a lot of other variables. It's not basketball where you can put two guys together and they're both really good, they'll figure it out. There's a lot of other variables.
So the question is, who's going to be the best tandem?
I'm telling you right now, the fact is, them being a tandem is not disconnected from everything else that's happening on the team. So how well they perform, I think I'm high on it. I think they'll be good, but it's hard for me to say that they're the best, having not seen it. Having seen Baker Mayfield for half a year and O'Dell Beckham doesn't even play full seasons. He gets injured so much. Like, it's hard for me to say. I think that it wouldn't be crazy. I don't think it's outlandish. But we just talked about the last segment about how awesome Patrick Mahomes is. I think that Patrick Mahomes, we saw it for a full season. And we saw with Tyreek Hill, who has way more explosive plays.
To me, that's the competition.
Tyreek Hill has way more explosive plays. Obviously, you can't bring up Tyreek Hill without acknowledging all the other domestic violence baggage he has. But as a player on the field, he is consistent with Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball to him. It's hard for me to, given what I saw last year, Tyreek Hill led the league in those type of explosive plays coming into games where people were game planning against him in that way. It's hard for me to jump out here and say that Baker Mayfield and O'Dell Beckham, given that we've never seen it before, that they're going to do that.
So I definitely agree with that. We've never seen it before, but we've seen it with Tyreek Hill and also the system that they play in. So I think the Cleveland Browns are more stacked with players with Kareem Hunt, Landry, and all those other guys. So the ball's probably going to be distributed a lot more than what's going to happen with Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill because they don't have as many weapons as the Cleveland Browns. So I think that's probably going to play into it. So I don't know. And again, what it boils down to is we've never seen O'Dell Beckham Jr. and Baker Mayfield play with each other. So you have no clue how that's going to work out. It could be good or bad. You just have no clue. So let's continue.
Argue too strenuously against Mahomes to Tyreek Hill because I think those are, when you think of like the most glittering kind of, because Breeze to Michael Thomas might put up better numbers than anybody, right? But that's not really what we're talking about here. I think O'Dell is a better overall receiver than Tyreek Hill. I think Mahomes is a better overall quarterback than Baker Mayfield. They both have other weapons on the team. Like, for example, the best tight end in football, Travis Kelce on the Chiefs. However, when you think of the number of weapons, so this may actually take Odell's numbers down a little bit, but in terms of those two hooking up, you have to account for so many weapons on the Browns offensively. And Njoku is like the least of it. He's quite good. Jarvis Landry on the other side. Not only Nick Chubb, but over the second half of the season, Kareem Hunt running the ball out of the back.
Maybe Duke Johnson, too.
It's like Duke Johnson is third. You know, I mean, like, you have so many people to account for offensively that, what are you going to double O'Dell? You're going to bracket him like they've been doing? Good luck. So Odell's going to face a lot of single coverage, and he is going to destroy the league. That was not the case.
I'm not sure that he's going to face a lot of single coverage because Jarvis Landry is not a deep threat. So I don't imagine that people are going to be concerned with Jarvis Landry going deep. So they will probably take their chances with isolating Jarvis Landry and doubling O'Dell and take your chances with Njoku. Like, I agree, but it seems like how are we going to measure who the best duo is if you're arguing that your duo is going to have lower numbers than they deserve? Like, I saw the numbers that Tyreek Hill put up last year with Patrick Mahomes throwing him the football. If they can get close to that, I don't think that
what I'm saying is this. We have yet to, I believe, and it sounds like because they're New York football Giants, I've never made this argument about any Giant skills position player ever until I saw first O'Dell and now Saquon. O'Dell Beckham was putting up numbers, as you know, in his first couple of years that we've never seen before. He was comparable to AB and Julio Jones. The difference was there was no one else to worry about on the offense. This is pre-Saquon. He had a bad quarterback throwing the ball with terrible offensive line, right? So you put all that together, and he's still putting up Julio Jones AB numbers, but now it's a whole different ball game. Now there's skills position players wherever you look, and he has an excellent rising star at quarterback. So what I'm saying is, you look at that, O'Dell, you ain't seen nothing yet. But think about that.
No, but we got a little taste of what O'Dell Beckham was doing in the playoffs, and he absolutely stunk it up. He was dropping balls left and right. So he has had a chance. We have seen him as a chance to do something in playoffs, and he's done nothing. So at this point, he's done nothing. And as far as Julio Jones and Antonio Brown, those guys, we know they can put in work. We know they can do it. So I don't know. Let's continue.
For a second.
But the logic behind this, we had a conversation earlier where we were talking about running backs and how Le'Veon Bell compares to the rest of the running backs in the league. You said that Le'Veon is right there, but I can't put him above those other guys because I didn't see him do it last year.
And
now,
there have been ascending talented running backs on that level.
Now you're saying that this duo that we did not see do it last year is going to be better than several duos that we see it last year. Like, the logic should be consistent. How is this any different than that?
Because I said I can't prove it. Here is where, for the third time in this show, you're being a little bit fast with the truth here.
I'm being quite slow with the truth.